Hello everybody, my name is RedBlockss and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. So today we're going to be ranking all of the impractical foods in Minecraft. Now, Minecraft being the game with endless possibilities as it is, you just don't know when you're going to face some unexpected circumstances when you're going to just need to chuck some food that you usually wouldn't in your day-to-day diet. So today we're going to be ranking all of those foods. Now, you see, the question might just come up as to what I consider to be impractical foods, and for that, of course, we need to know what the definition of practical food says to know if a food is impractical or not. So in my opinion, a food item in the game is practical if it fills up your hunger haunches that you can see in the bottom right side of your screen, and it doesn't give you any type of status effect. Now, those status effects can be good status effects, just like hunger or poison or things like that, or it could be good status effects like absorptions, regeneration, fire resistance, and things like that. So, for example, a food like sweet berries, while it doesn't really fill up all of your hunger haunches, it doesn't really give you any status effects, and again, it fills up your hunger haunches. So, in my opinion, sweet berries are practical. But you see, some foods in our list today don't quite fit the criteria of being impractical, but they are kind of impractical when it comes to the situation. So foods like raw meat or raw fish and dried kelp, you see, these foods you can cook them very easily, because the only thing that you need to do is get a furnace, chop some coal in there, and chuck these food in there, and you have yourself cooked variations of these foods which are practical. But the reason why these aren't practical is because, first of all, raw chicken by itself gives you hunger, so that's already off the tables. And the other foods, while yes, they do fit the criteria of being practical, you're just not gonna eat them in a practical situation. You are going to be eating them in a hurry, just like you're going to be eating all the rest of the foods on our tables. And of course, dried kelp, again, it fits the criteria of being a practical food, but again, you're not going to be eating them unless you want to eat them fast or you are nearby an ocean. So we're going to be getting into all of these when we do. And over here we have ourselves the tier list that we're going to be ranking all of these foods in. So we have ourselves all the ranks from S all the way to F, and if you guys are curious as to what the rank above S is, stay tuned till the end of the video, because I'm not gonna spoil it before then. So yeah, again, also, if you guys missed it, foods like enchanted golden apples and golden apples are going to be in this list, just because, as I said again, good status effects also are included in this list. So foods like, again, golden apple and enchanted golden apples, they give you absorption, fire resistance, regenerations, and things like that. So yeah, enough of that, let's get into our rankings. Also, since I didn't mention this in the intro, we are going to be going in succession as to how the board has laid it out for us. So first we are going to be going to raw beef, then pufferfish, then chorus food, so on and so forth, rather than going by tier. So for example, that would be first S, then A, then B. Not like that, we are going to be going how the board has laid it out. So with all that being said though, let's get into our first food item, which is going to be raw beef, raw rabbit, and raw pork chop, all coming in at a hunger haunch value of 1.5. Now again, these don't give you any type of status effects, so technically there are practical foods, but I just talked about all of that. So these are, truth be told, pretty easy to get, and they actually fill up quite a bit of your hunger bar. Even though that doesn't sound all that much, believe me, for impractical foods, that's actually pretty impressive. So all in all considered, and taking a look as to what other foods we have on the table, that sounds like a pretty solid B in my opinion. Also, all of these ranks, I kind of color coded them when it comes to my best color, my favorite color I should say. And now that doesn't mean I like black more than red, that is not the case. I just didn't know what to put above red, so I went with black. And anything above blue, anything under blue I should say, they're not quite accurate, but I just went with them, also just because they are lower tier than, in my opinion, these two not the best colors. So anyways, raw beef, raw pork chop, and raw rabbit are gonna be going into rank B, and let's move on to our next food item. which is going to be the worst food on our list, because now we're gonna take a look at pufferfish. Yeah, if you guys don't know about pufferfish, it fills up about just half of one, like 0.5 hunger haunts, so that's like just half of a haunt, like the bare minimum a food can actually do. And it also gives you, let me just go into my inventory to read this. It gives you nausea 2, hunger 3, and poison 4. I mean, all of them are differing amounts, but about for like 20-ish seconds. So yeah, it's not far-fetched for me to say that that is the worst food in human existence, not even in Minecraft. So it's going straight into that F, and spoiler alert, this is going to be the only F, and it deserves to be there. Honestly, you're lucky that it isn't any lower. Anyways, let's move on to our next food item. Alrighty, next up we actually have ourselves one of the better foods on our list. So next up we have ourselves the chorus fruit. Now if you guys don't know, the chorus fruit is only found in the end. When you break like a chorus plant, it actually drops into a chorus fruit, unless you, of course, you're using Silk Touch. Now when you eat a chorus fruit, it fills up 2 of your hunger haunts, and also you teleport to a random location. So let me just demonstrate to you guys how this works. So I'm of course in creative, so it doesn't really fill up anything for me, but as you guys just saw, it teleports you to a random location. So it's really cool. I mean, of course, the teleportation thing, it would be good without it, but even if it is that case, it's like actually the best food, like when it comes to filling up hunger haunts, when it comes to impractical food. So just based off of that and not having any negative side effects, it's gonna go in straight into A. That's a really solid food. So chorus food goes straight into A. Moving on to our next one. Next up is another food which it was considered to be technically a practical food, but I brought it over to the impractical list. We have ourselves dried kelp. Now the only reason why dried kelp is in here is because it only fills up half of your hunger haunts, and the only reason you would eat dried kelp is if you would spawn next to an ocean and you didn't really have any other food options. And honestly, being honest with you, if that is the case, you're not in for a bad treat, because these things are really easy to get, because even though it feels like only filling up half of a hunger haunt is like absolutely terrible, like there's so much in the ocean, it's not actually a bad thing to eat dried kelp. So all in all being considered, dried kelp is honestly a pretty considerable thing to eat. Now, although it has its own downsides to only filling up half a hunger haunt, so everything considered, it goes into the solid C tier. Not the best one, but I mean, it's not bad by any means. So let's move on to our next food item. Alright, so for our next food item, I kinda made a mistake. I'm really surprised that I made a mistake. You really thought I was gonna get through this first try without making any mistakes. Yeah, I thought you would kinda not think that. So, moving on, we have ourselves our next food items. We have raw salmon and raw cod and raw mutton. Now, the reason why I made a mistake was both of these foods have the same hunger haunts value, and they don't give you any status effects, basically meaning that both of them are the same food item. So I could have bunched them up, but my stupid brain decided that I want to split them up for absolutely no reason whatsoever. So we are going to be bunching them up for our results. Now this is basically the same with raw beef, raw rabbit, and raw pork chops, where they are basically raw food and they don't really give you any status effects. Basically the same, but these have a little bit less hunger haunts value than them. So I was just gonna place them one under that. So joining dried kelp in the C tier, we have ourselves raw salmon and raw cod and raw mutton. Moving on to our next food item. For our next food item, we have ourselves the one and only spider eye. Now, spider eye, of course, if you're talking about eating these in real life, you're an absolute psychopath and you should see a mental doctor. But if you're eating them in Minecraft, you see they give you 1 hunger haunt, and they also give you poison. Now the thing is, poison isn't quite as severe as you would think eating a spider eye would give you. It's like just about 5 or 6 seconds of poison, so really not all that bad. But I mean, come on now, it's like literally a spider eye, so I can't give it anything better than a D. I mean, at least it's better than a pufferfish, which is like, again, the worst food in human existence. But it's a little bit worse than dried kelp and the raw foods up here. So I think that's a fair placement for spider eye. Let's move on to our next food item. Alrighty, so for our next food item, we have ourselves rotten flesh. Now, if you guys don't know my connection with rotten flesh, there will be a video on screen right now. Go ahead and watch that before you watch this one. Now, of course, that was an April Fool's video, but the thing is, if you guys, if you guys haven't watched that video, I would recommend watching it right now because it's a short one, and I feel like you would get the references for this video. So, in that video, I kind of jokingly say that rotten flesh is like one of the best things in Minecraft, and even though that is literally not the case, you see, when it comes to impractical foods, rotten flesh isn't all that bad, and I do stand by that statement. Rotten flesh isn't all that bad, and the reason why that is the case is because if you eat rotten flesh, you get 2 hunger haunches, which again, remind you, is the best on our list, and it only gives you hunger, which is, again, it is a negative status effect. The thing is, with hunger, if you don't really move around at all, it is not going to drain your hunger. So it's like a win-win. It's like a practical food in the form of an impractical food. So honestly, it's one of the best ones. Now, it might sound like it's coming out of bias, and it half is, but again, you have to agree with me. Rotten flesh isn't bad. It is honestly good. So I'm gonna place it here. Again, let me know down in the comment section what you guys think. Moving on to our next food item. And boy, oh boy, oh boy, the next food item. So we have ourselves the first positive side effect giving food item, the golden apple, also most popularly known as the gapple. So the gapple, it's for some reason not popping up here. Oh, there we go, now it is. So anyways, the golden apple, when you eat it, it gives you 2 hunger haunches, which is kind of crazy to me, the fact that both chorus fruit and rotten flesh give you the same amount of hunger haunches as something like golden apple does, but I mean, it is what it is. It also gives you regeneration and absorption. Now, regeneration is much shorter than absorption, but I mean, I'm not really taking into account as to how the exact amounts, just because if you take a look into this pile right here, there's not even a doubt as to the golden apple is just better than all of them. So without even giving a second thought to this, I'm smacking the golden apple into the S tier. I don't think I need to reason myself at all, so let's move on to our next one. Now, the reason why I said last is, well, I'm not even going to explain why. I think you'll just figure it out in a few seconds. But for our quote-unquote last food item, we have ourselves tropical fish. Honestly, when you hear tropical fish, the only thing that should come to mind is this is a decoration thing that I can put up in an item frame. I'm not going to be eating this, but if you do eat a tropical fish, it only gives you half a haunch worth of hunger refill. Which again, like, it's just straight up not worth it. Like, the thing with all of these foods right here is, like, they're all bad. You know, like, there's just no denying that. But this one is like, why would you do that, you know? But again, it's just not as bad as like pufferfish, because when you're eating a pufferfish, you like, yeah, I just want to be miserable. When you're eating a tropical fish, it's like, it's the best I can do. It's like bad, but I can't do anything better. So it's definitely better than a pufferfish, but nowhere near close to any of the other foods. So we're gonna smack it down in the D tier. But now, for the last, but like the best, let's go. And I know for a fact that all of you guys expected this from the very beginning. Last but the best, we have ourselves the king of any edible thing in all of the game. We have ourselves the one, the only, the notch apple, which I dubbed as the king of all of Minecraft edible foods, which is going in the, of course, the king tier. I purposely didn't fly up all the way here just so you guys couldn't see it, but now you can see it is the king tier, and we are going to be smacking this smack down in the middle to certify that this doesn't have anything better than this. Even potions can top the enchanted golden apple. And on that note, that is gonna do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like button, and if you guys want to see more of these type of videos and more of survival tips and basically more of my videos in general, make sure to subscribe button and turn on notifications. But with all that being said, guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.